The text arrived at 6:32 that Friday evening, stuck in seminars, exhausted, going to sleep, love you. She even included a mountain emoji. It was the shorthand of a woman so comfortable with deception that she decorated her lies with cartoons. I stood in an Aspen boutique hotel lobby holding a leather bag packed to surprise my wife for our 5th anniversary. Looking back now, that was the exact moment I stopped being the blind foundation to her perfect life. If you stood in that lobby holding a surprise gift in one hand and absolute proof of a lie in the other, would you walk through those lounge doors for a confrontation, or would you turn around in silence to plan your next move? Serena's laugh drifted out from the lounge. I could hear the faint clink of expensive glassware and the low murmur of Aspen's Winter Elite. I looked down at my own hands. The faint scent of cedar sawdust still clung to my skin, a sharp contrast to the sterile, heavy perfume suffocating the hotel lobby. We lived in the same house, but standing there, I understood that Serena and I inhabited completely different realities. I took a breath, adjusted the grip on my leather bag, and stepped toward the heavy oak doors. I made it exactly 2 steps before a woman stepped directly into my path. She was perhaps in her early 40s, wearing a sharp, dark trench coat and an expression entirely devoid of warmth. Julian, she said, it was not a question. It was a statement of fact. I stopped, my defensive instincts instantly engaging. I would not go in there if I were you, she murmured. Before I could process the intrusion, she slid a folded piece of heavy stock paper into my free hand. Look at the second page. Bottom right signature line. I unfolded the document. It was a bank authorization form, a commercial line of credit taken out against my architectural woodworking business for $450,000. And at the bottom, authorizing the leverage of everything I had built over the last decade, was my signature, except I had never signed it. The physical shock of betrayal is not a scream. It is a sudden, terrifying clarity where all the background noise fades into a single high-pitched hum. I did not yell. Instead, I opened my banking portal. There it was. A severe red banner, credit line drawn, funds transferred. The money was already gone. My crew's payroll was due in exactly 3 days. My name is Sarah, the woman said. I am a corporate forensic investigator. If you walk through those doors right now, you get a screaming match, and she will know we are onto her. If you turn around and walk out to my car, I will help you trace where that money went and get your business back. I looked at the lounge doors one last time. I could still hear Serena laughing. I folded the document, slid it into my pocket, and turned my back on my marriage. 5 minutes later, in Sarah's sedan, she showed me a surveillance photo. It showed Serena sitting intimately close to Marcus, a luxury real estate developer. The affair is just the distraction, Sarah said. The real question is, what did they do with your $500,000? The drive back to Denver took exactly 3 hours. For the past 14 months, silence had been the defining architecture of my marriage. I had methodically justified her late nights, her expensive clothes, and her contempt for my work boots as the grind of a high-powered career. I worked 14-hour days, painstakingly restoring historic foundations, absolutely convinced I was building a secure future for both of us. I had normalized her cruelty. I had willingly fallen into the provider's trap, wearing my own emotional neglect like a twisted badge of honor. Serena did not see me as a husband. I was nothing more than an unsecured asset, a dependable safety net she could leverage to finance an elite fantasy life with Marcus. I arrived home at 2 a.m. The house sat quietly in the dark, an empty monument to a life that had never actually existed. A text flashed on my phone from Serena, "Miss you, wish you were here." I did not scream. I walked inside, plugged in my phone, and began printing my commercial business ledgers. Serena returned on Sunday with a cheap souvenir mug. She set it on the kitchen island, kissing my cheek with practiced affection. I poured my black coffee into it. I used that mug every single morning for the next week, looking her directly in the eye. It became my tactile reminder to stay grounded. Real restraint is not the absence of anger. It is the ability to hold a live electrical wire in your bare hands and refuse to flinch until the power is safely cut. The friction hit on Monday. The accounts were frozen. Payroll for my employees was due Wednesday. To protect them from my wife's theft, I had to quietly liquidate my personal emergency savings. I absorbed the damage in silence, playing the role of the oblivious husband. Um, on Thursday, Serena sat across from me, swirling a glass of wine, and casually asked if we could leverage the equity in our home for a new investment opportunity. She was attempting to mortgage the roof over my head to fund her exit strategy. I will look into the numbers, I said smoothly. The next afternoon, my attorney called. She used your business credit to purchase Marcus's failing commercial property through a dummy corporation. Serena did not just steal from you. She bought her boss a secret corporate bailout using your name. By Friday morning, Sarah had successfully traced the stolen funds to their shell company. My operating capital was insulated, but the $450,000 was now locked in their illegal transaction pending a formal investigation. Sarah submitted her dossier on Marcus's firm to the bank's fraud department and his board of directors. The trap was armed. That evening, Serena was hosting a catered dinner party for 6 elite real estate associates. I arrived home at 8:30 wearing my scuffed work boots and dust-covered flannel. I carried a sleek black leather portfolio. Inside were the divorce papers, the forensic accounting of the $450,000, and a copy of the formal fraud investigation. Notice Marcus had been served 2 hours prior. Serena was plating dessert when she saw me. I set the portfolio down next to the dessert plates, perfectly centered on the stone counter. I did not say a single word. Sometimes the loudest statement you can make is simply leaving the evidence on the table and walking away. Serena went pale as she recognized the legal seal. I picked up the cheap Aspen mug, raised it toward her in a silent toast, and walked out the front door into the cool Denver night. The next morning, the demolition began. I was at my workshop at 6 a.m. when the door slammed open. It was Serena. She looked frantic, her designer coat thrown over pajamas. I did not turn off the table saw. The high-pitched mechanical whine filled the space, an indifferent barrier between us. "Turn that off!" she screamed. I let the blade spin for another 10 seconds before hitting the kill switch. "What do you want, Serena?" "You humiliated me at my dinner party," she shrieked. Then she tried to gaslight me. "Your woodworking is noble, Julian. It's cute, but it was never going to make us wealthy." I was investing in our future. "You forged my signature to buy your boss a bailout," I replied. Her phone rang. She didn't answer. It was the news. Marcus had been ousted by his board of directors for a massive fiduciary breach and was facing immediate civil lawsuits. And true to his instincts, Marcus had already thrown Serena under the bus, claiming she acted entirely alone. Serena collapsed, sobbing, the illusion of her high society life shattered. But then she snarled, "I will drag this divorce out for years. I will take half of this workshop. I will ruin you." My lawyer's voice echoed in my head. "How much is your peace worth?" For 11 agonizing months, my life was reduced to billable hours and frozen accounts. Serena fought for the house she never even liked, strictly to ensure I could not keep it. I looked at the situation like a condemned building. Fighting her meant remaining tethered to her toxicity for another 2 years. I instructed my attorney to draft a buyout agreement. I agreed to take a $60,000 financial loss to pay out her share of the equity. My lawyer was frustrated, but he was calculating currency and I was calculating time. $60,000 was the ransom required to buy back the rest of my life. Justice is not always about watching the other party burn. Sometimes it's writing a heavy check to clear the toxic soil so you can plant something new. At the final mediation, Serena offered a victorious smirk, believing she had extracted a final toll from her blue-collar husband. Her victory lap lasted exactly 72 hours. 3 days later, federal agents delivered the indictment for wire fraud directly to her new apartment. 2 years have passed. Marcus is serving 48 months in a federal facility. Serena was barred from holding a real estate license and forced into bankruptcy. She now works a minimum wage job at a warehouse, her wages garnished to pay off her mountain of legal debt. She is trapped in the very working class grind she once viewed with disdain. This morning, I am standing in a historic estate in Boulder. My company is thriving. We added 5 new craftsmen this year. A woman named Elena just brought me coffee, smiling as she ran her hand along a newly finished mahogany banister. She doesn't view my sawdust as a lack of ambition. She sees it as evidence of a man who builds things designed to last. Sarah didn't just save my account, she saved my dignity. She taught me that the most devastating retaliation is simply handing an arrogant person the legal rope they requested and stepping back to let gravity do the rest. True strength is not found in demolition. It is found in the patience required to walk away from a condemned structure and draw up entirely new blueprints. Are the people in your life actually building an equitable future with you? Or are they just standing on your back to reach something else? My foundation is solid now. I paid a heavy toll, but the permanent peace I bought has paid dividends I could never measure in a courtroom. I would like to hear your perspective. Have you ever discovered a betrayal so structural that it changed the way you view trust entirely? What did it take for you to walk away from the wreckage and start rebuilding on your own terms? If this story resonated with you, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments.